Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Gault. I'm an eminent domain attorney at Bell, Carrington, Price, and Gregg. And along with Lindsay Carrington, we're excited to be here with you today to talk a little bit about the Camden Road widening project in Fayetteville. This town hall is a little bit different from from some of those that we've done in the past. Normally, our town halls are designed to reach landowners long before right-of-way acquisition actually begins. But in this case in particular, we know, or at least I know, that on this last section of the Camden Road widening project that we're here to talk about today, right-of-way acquisition started nearly a year ago in the late fall, early spring of 2021 into 2022. But we also know that there are likely many of you who have not had your cases resolved yet. And so for that reason, we just wanted to come to you today to talk briefly about this project and to let you know how our firm may be able to help. So as many of you are aware, this Camden Road widening project was broken down into multiple sections. The last section was a little over 3 miles, a little over a 3-mile stretch from Hope Mills Road to the Outer Loop, which is I-295. And there were about 200 parcels, or still are about 200 parcels that are impacted by this widening project, and the impacts are significant. And so many of you likely have already settled your cases, but if you're watching this, there's a chance that you haven't. We know from our experience that eminent domain and condemnation cases take a while to resolve themselves. And if they're not able to resolve themselves quickly, then they can go into a process called condemnation. And there's a chance that some of you, or maybe more than some of you, many of you may be approaching that condemnation process now, and you may be a little bit worried about what it looks like. Well, basically, if the government, in this case, the North Carolina DOT, is not able to resolve a case with a landowner through negotiation, through settlement fairly early on in the process, then they will file a legal action called a condemnation, which basically gives the government the right to enter onto your property for the purposes of constructing a project like this. And then basically the parties argue and fight over the valuation of that taking through the court system. It's difficult to do that on your own. It's if you don't have legal experience, if you don't have someone on your side who's been through condemnation cases before, to know how the filings work, to know how the process works, and ultimately, if you've made it this far, there's some likelihood that you may end up at a trial for a case like this. And certainly, if you go that far, you need someone in your corner with experience to help with an eminent domain or condemnation case like this. Again, I'm the practice group leader for eminent domain at Bell, Carrington, Price, and Gregg, and Lindsay Carrington is with our firm. He handles our North Carolina eminent domain cases. And our firm's eminent domain team has experience. We know what happens from the inception of these cases through the initial settlement negotiations, and certainly what happens once condemnation is filed, all the way up into and then maybe including a jury trial and a verdict in the case. We're able to look at appraisals. We're able to look at plan sheets and oftentimes pick up on things that the DOT may have missed in their initial evaluation. And we're able to oftentimes advise our clients on things that they may have missed that might ultimately help improve their position. As a landowner, it's important for you to remember that one of your most important rights that you hold is the right to just compensation. And so while on a project like this, the government certainly likely has the right to take your property through eminent domain, they must compensate you fairly and adequately for that. And that's what the term just compensation means, is just that you're fairly and adequately compensated for everything that they take, including any damages to the remainder of the property once the taking is complete. So ultimately, we just wanted to come on here to let you know that if you've made it this far in the process and you've not settled with the DOT yet, it's probably time to reach out for some help. I can't give you legal advice in a forum like this, but if you'll want to reach out to myself or to our team, our contact information is over in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to call me or email me directly, and I'll get you set up with the right person to discuss this case with you, or I'll be happy to speak with you directly on a more personal level. We have some software that we've developed in-house that will allow me to pull up your property while we're on the phone during that initial consultation, to allow me to see the impact to your property, and we can have a more direct conversation at that time about how or if our firm may be able to assist you going forward. Finally, I like to mention always that, because some of you may have this concern at this point in the case, but attorney's fees are different in eminent domain cases at Bell Carrington. We don't operate on a traditional fee structure where you pay up front, you pay a retainer fee, or you pay hourly. Instead, we operate on what's known as a contingency fee basis. And that just basically means that we operate on and we're paid with a percentage of the recovery that we're able to secure for you, whether that be through negotiation and settlement early on, or certainly in a case that's later in the later stages through settlement in the condemnation process or at a jury trial. And while I can't give you those specifics or percentages in a public forum like this, I'm certainly happy to discuss your individual case and your individual property with you at any time, and then we can go into those more specific details. Again, this is an informational session, not meant to be legal advice, but we can certainly talk to you one-on-one, and if the situation is right, we can enter into that attorney-client relationship, and then certainly be able to provide you with more specific and detailed legal advice going forward. The overarching ultimate takeaway from this is a major project. Many landowners are impacted, and while right-of-way acquisition has been going on for some time, there are likely some cases out there that haven't settled yet. And so we like to let you know that we're still here to help. It's not too late, if you haven't settled your case, to reach out to our firm, to talk to one of our North Carolina eminent domain attorneys who may be able to assist you going forward. So thank you for being here. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to those of you that are watching this near the 5th of January when it's recorded. We look forward to speaking with you and hopefully working with some of you in the future. Thank you.